Hey everyone, it's Chris from Stamp Blessings, and I had posted that I was coming on a little bit late, 1:30, and even with that delay, I am coming on even later at 1:35. So thanks for being patient with me. I had a follow-up doctor's appointment for my mom. Everything is looking great, so we are just so lucky that her surgery went well and she's recovering. But it does kind of mess up with things. And then on top of it, my camera stand was giving me trouble, so I had to go back to my old one. Well, today's workshop Wednesday, or Wednesday workshop, I should say, is all about the beautiful butterflies set in the Stampin' Up! Catalog. So if you don't have this mini catalog, it's good from January through April. I have 10 copies left, so if you are needing one, you like to look at samples, hard copy, let me know and I will get it out to you. But today it's featuring the stamp set, the hybrid embossing plate, which is currently back ordered. That's going to be coming in the end of this month. This beautiful paper, and then the matching dies. So you will find all of this wonderful bundle in the mini catalog. But just so you know, lots of fun new things went online today too. We had some online exclusives that actually posted yesterday. I'm going to leave this ready because most of my card kit is going to be focused on using these dies. With Stampin' Up!, I'm not allowed to send out card kits with stamped images. So my cards feature heavily die cuts. So the March free card kit is going to be these 4 beautiful cards. Now when you place an order at chrisfranco.stampinup.net for $50 or more, you will receive this card kit in the mail, and all you have to do is kind of assemble it. So lots of fun. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to save this one for last because it's a little bit tricky. So on this card here, I did go ahead and off-camera prep some items. But in my last Wednesday workshop, I found out that if I embossed my butterfly first, I guess I do need this, with this beautiful detailed butterfly, if I emboss first and then die cut, I ended up losing so much of this detail. So what I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just die cut from watercolor paper first my butterfly, and then I'm going to go ahead and emboss. So while I'm doing this video, it's hard for me to see comments, but I do hope that if you're watching the replay, you do give me a like or subscribe. I love to go back and I will answer all of your comments. So just know I'm not ignoring you. It's just something that's just too hard for me to do. I am lucky to have everything here on camera, as you know sometimes when you watch the camera sitting there blank. So I'm going ahead and just off screen, I'm doing a little die cutting here of this butterfly. And it's such a, I love this solid outline. And then what I would do is go ahead and line it up and emboss it. And I'm going to just try and show you that to line it up, I found it was kind of tricky, but if I went here on the top part of the panel and then brought this back, I got it really pretty well centered. Okay, even now it's a little bit off, but you can kind of fiddle with it a little bit, and there we go. Now it's perfect, so I can pinch it, and now when I feed it through to emboss it, I want to make sure that this edge goes in first. So the seam goes in first, and you always want to stagger your plate so that the sandwich is not just flush trying to get through that machine. Hope that makes sense. So we're going to go ahead and emboss that. And then I have this beautiful piece. Now I went ahead and pre-embossed the back sheet because I really like the layer of that. And so that's easy. You just put it through and emboss. All right, I'm going to set this other butterfly aside because I'm going to be using that later. All right, so now, and actually, you know, I really kind of demonstrated in a way this card on my last workshop Wednesday. I'm just going to go ahead and quickly do a little bit and then show you how I added some of the black to it. So I am using Distress inks. It's not something that we sell, unfortunately, but I know that we have lots of beautiful blue inks, and if you have those already on hand, that is wonderful. I am working up, you know, adding to my inventory, so I don't have everything quite yet. So I'm just going to grab 2 blues and just start adding some color to this butterfly. And I'm going to do it quickly. I might not even do the whole thing and just show you what kind of, how I added the black embossing. So, but actually look at how quick this goes, right? It's just, it's easy to just add some color, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I do want to leave a little bit of white, and then I'm just going to come in with a little bit of a darker color just to give it some dimension. I like to do it in the middle. So I don't know what the weather is like by you, but today we are having some wild rain and some heavy winds, and it's just coming down. So I was glad when we got home from that doctor's appointment. So now to do this, I just use a Versamark embossing ink, you know, ink pad, and then some of the Wow black embossing powder. So I went ahead and I just wanted to get the corners of the wings. So I just kind of rub it on there. And I want to get his little antennas, maybe the whole thing. If you have an embossing, like an embossing pen, that would work out really good. I wanted to try the blender pens, so you know what, I might just try that and you guys can see it real world. And then I just shake the powder on. Coffee filter does a nice job of catching, you know, and if you want to just change a little bit, you can move it around. So that worked out good. Let's try the blender pen and see if that will grab the embossing powder. And I'm going to just scribble it on. Kind of nice and wet. Now, because I have enough powder in here, I'm just going to add it. And look at that. So if you have the embossing pen or the blender pens from us, then you will be able to just add even the embossing powder wherever you want it. So I was even able to put it down the center of this butterfly. So perfect. I'm not going to emboss that here on video, but you can see how good that is going to be. Now, it did not stick quite as much, I'm noticing that. So I think if I were to do this with the blender pen, I would kind of lay it on there and then quickly go have a hot heat gun. But the Versamark definitely works the best, but that would look really pretty. So I just love a blue butterfly with those black accents. So you saw really rubbing the Versamark pad did actually do the best. I'm going to get this back into its little container before we have any major catastrophes. And again, Stampin' Up! Does sell the Wow embossing powders, and they come 3 in a pack. So if you're looking for some embossing powders, they work great. I really like their pop. Just get that off. All right, so basically, because I can't emboss this, the last step I had to do was stamp the word hello, and then I fussy cut that. And I'm going to just show you how easy that is. So if you're not a fan of fussy cutting, well, let me tell you, it's not so bad. So we're just going to grab this quick hello and stamp it with some memento on a scratch of white cardstock. Oops. And then I'll be able to cut it quickly. So, but you can see how easy this first card is. And so when you get this card kit in the mail, you'll receive all of these things. You just won't receive the hello stamped. You'll have to look into your own, stock of things, which is really easy to do. And now I'm going to just quickly cut out this hello. All right, and when I like to just kind of move the paper around as I go. And last time I said I left 1/4 of an inch, and I was like, afterwards, rewatching my video, I'm like, that is not 1/4 of an inch, Chris. So it's actually more than 1/8 of an inch, but definitely not 1/4 of an inch. So, and just like I said last time, you can always go back and cut more off. Like here, I would trim it a little bit more, but you can't go back and fix it. And I grabbed this so quickly that it's a little bit smudged, but that's how it would come together. And your first card is done. So again, the tip here, and this will come ready for you, but if you have the set at home, be sure to die cut the butterfly first and then emboss it to get the best impression. All right, for my next card, well, since we're doing a little distress inking, let's go ahead and do this next one. And that is this beautiful yellow monarch butterfly. I just love it. Now this long sentiment strip is part of the dies. So it's really nice. You have these 2 long sentiment and a short one. And then all of these different butterfly dies. This one matches the stamp set. And this outer one matches the stamp set. But then these intricate ones are kind of standalone. Oh, and this one matches the die set. So I did earlier die cut this solid butterfly. And I also went ahead and I die cut the more intricate butterfly and the larger body. So I just had some black cardstock and sent it through really easy. This is from the beautiful, and I don't know how you say it, if it's Bohea, it's B-O-K-E-H. I should have Googled it, but I'm going to go ahead and emboss this for that beautiful texture. So again, I just grabbed my hybrid embossing folder, and I've pre-cut a piece, and for the demonstration, I've just taken a regular 4 by 5 1/4 piece. Okay, and it doesn't matter where I lay it in, because I have this big butterfly there. I'm actually going to try and avoid getting this butterfly in the center. So I'm going to just take a moment to emboss that. And again, I will need my large gray plate when I use my stamp cut and emboss machine, and I can just crank that through here off to the side. And then sometimes it really pops when it comes through the other end. Well, you heard that. So, but it just gives such a nice detailed look. So I'm going to go ahead and set that aside, and then we're going to start building that butterfly. So again, this was some leftover close to my heart paper that I'm just using up for my videos, but I will send you the papers that are shown here on that beautiful card. But that way you know what it looks like too if you want to do it with some other papers. All right, so I did die cut this larger solid butterfly from watercolor paper. I like when I use distress inks on watercolor paper because afterwards I can just spritz it a little bit and show you a fun look on that. So for here I'm using a distressed yellow and an orange. You can also blend with Stampin' Up! Ink pads. I'm just working on my collection, so I don't have everything yet. So for this butterfly here, I didn't go all the way out to the edge. I just kind of went up to the middle and down here. And I mean, it is just random, and it can be dark, it can be light. And then I went in and just added some orange more towards the center because I wanted the color to be focused there. So I'm just going to blend that in and push it a little bit. And so look at that, it's just so pretty. And you could always go back and add some more. Like I think I might just add a little bit more orange in that center. Yep, and that came out really orange. All right, so, but that's how fast these butterflies are done. I mean, they're really... Now, I could spritz this with some water, or I like to just use some droplets and then come in and dab up that water. So there it ran, but it gives it a nice kind of a variegated look. So then when I pop my detailed piece on it, I see part of that showing through, and it just looks so nice. Now you have to decide when you glue these two layers together if you want to glue it down flat or if you want to leave the wings with a little bit motion. And I'm always for a little bit motion, but when you put them in your envelopes, then you just have to be careful. So I am not waiting for this really to dry. So I'm going to go quickly, and here is my little body. So cute. You could do these. I've cut them out in all sorts of different colors, and they're just so neat. So you can see how quickly this card is coming together. And so here's the cardstock, and you're going to be getting this beautiful paper here, cut to size. Now, I'm going to go ahead and prep this, and I had a sentiment strip. Hopefully I find it quickly in this mess. I think it might be... Well, I had it prepped. I was actually all ready today. I was very, very careful to have everything ready. I'll probably find it afterwards. Well, we have some paper here, so let's go ahead and just cut a new one, because that's how easy it goes. And the sentiment I ended up using was from this new textured note set. This is a new online release, and it says, "You are seriously the best." And I just thought that was so pretty. So I'm going to do that. And I found my scrap piece of paper, which I can just lay this on, and I'm going to die cut that really quick. And then we'll finish card number 2. So remember, when you place an order on my website, then you will get this free card kit in the mail when you spend $50 or more. Now, while I'm just cranking this through, I'm going to let you know that Stampin' Up! Is changing the way that they are doing their Hostess rewards. And starting next month, April 15th, they are going to do away with the old Hostess codes that you're familiar with. And just so that you know I wasn't lying, look what I just found, the other sentiment strip. But I've just cut this one, so we're good. But anyway, on the 15th, you will start earning your own rewards from Stampin' Up! When you make your purchase online. You do have to have an account registered, so make sure if you haven't already set up an account, you want to do that. And then once you place a $20 order, you'll start earning 10% on that, and it will accrue, and then you can, get the rewards and apply them to your next order. So that's kind of nice. So, and good thing I found that extra one, because with the rubber stamps, I love them, but I also hate them because you can easily get some ink on that. So this one gets tossed, And we'll go ahead and show you and remind you that when you are inking up on red rubber, make sure you just take a moment and clean that edge with your fingertip. And I've even gone sometimes and just kind of trimmed it back a little bit, just at an angle, so that I avoid it, because you have no idea, or maybe you do, how many times I have done that. So now my card is ready. I'm just going to quickly glue it. And you could use tape on this, no problem. I just find that the glue gives me just a second to move things around. And then I just have to decide how I'm going to place it. Are you going to place it the same way I did? Are you going to do it a little bit different? Sentiment on top. I don't really like the sentiment on top. I'm kind of, I do everything kind of centered usually. If you see something tipped on mine, it's because I really made myself do it. But you could definitely pop that up, and you could pop up the butterfly. And again, just to keep that little bit of movement going on, I'm just going to put the glue in the middle and then let it dry like that. So there you go. Card number 2 is done. For my next card, I'm using the new paper pack. It's the Mixed Florals. And when I first got this paper, I was like, ugh, there is no way that I'm going to use this. But then I don't know. Oh, I know. I had this orange piece of paper floating around near it, and I was like, wait a minute, that's perfect, and this would be great for a butterfly. So one tip I found is that I took the 6x6 paper and I cut it in half at a diagonal. And I did that so that I could get 2 butterflies out of each 6x6 sheet. Because if you try and go like this, you're not going to get a second butterfly in that corner. So, but by cutting it in half at a diagonal, I now can get either this wispy one or this solid image, and I can get that. So I'm going to have to cut this. And I also have my paper here, which I realize that it is not trimmed, but this should be 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm going to do that for a second, and then I'm going to feed this through and we'll get going. All right, on the back is this fun print. So if you're not really into here, you would always be able to use this side. So I'm going to go ahead and die cut this larger butterfly. And did I prep anything else for it? No, I think I did have this black base, and I figured I was going to cut this live with you now so that I'm not just doing everything on camera, but you can still see how quickly it goes. If this is your first time watching my videos, I hope you'll leave me a comment and let me know where you're watching from. I tend not to do shout outs because you can see that I am busily just trying to get these cards made without too many disasters. And they're always looming, waiting for me. But I'm going to go ahead and cut this large butterfly really quick. And it is so pretty, this paper. I love both sides of it. I love the boho look or bohique look, and then I like the other side that's a little bit mottled. So that is ready for this, and I'm going to save these scraps because I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with those later. Nothing goes to waste here. I saw Laura from Australia this morning sitting on her floor throwing away any tiny little scraps, and she is the scrap queen, so I was surprised to see that. But I love to save scraps too, and I can't wait to show you for what I use them for. All right, now I need to make the butterfly base and the tag in white, and I'm just going to roll that through real quick, and then we're going to be ready. Now the sentiment, lots of love, is from Delightful Wishes, which was a release that came out in January. But I might change the sentiment for this next card and just do a thanks or something, because I always need thank you cards. So that's the nice thing about getting this kit. You're going to get all of these pieces already die cut, and then you'll just get this blank sentiment strip, and then you can put whatever sentiment you want on there. So that's really good to give you a little, you know, you can do your own creativity. And I did pop it up on here, so, all right, perfect. So I love having my dies on a magnet sheet. It keeps me from losing control over them, because invariably I'm, you know, misplacing one or the other. All right, so for this card, again, it is so simple. We are going to just assemble, and I like to build from the bottom up. Just take a second to make sure that my wings are pretty evenly spaced out. You could also die cut his body in black, but I'm just going to use the white, and I use the white because I thought it would pick up that little bit of white in the paper and then also coordinate with this tag. So all I have to do is stamp a sentiment, and I think I'm going to use this thanks from Saying Hey, because that's just such a great little font there, and I think it kind of goes with the butterfly. So, oops, I still have that hello from before. I'm just going to ink it up. This time I don't have to worry about random ink spots. Hopefully I just got that on straight, and yes I did. And I'm just going to take some dimensionals to pop those up. And card number 3 is done. Now when you get this kit mailed to you, I also email you the directions so that you can create these cards on your own at home. So not only do you get the card kit, but you get all the directions and the size measurements, etc. for you to do this. All right, I'm going to just make sure here, pop this up, and then all I have to do is add it to the card base. And you do get the card bases and the envelopes too, of course. Everything is complete for these card kits. So I'd love to hear some feedback if you're enjoying. This is my 3rd iteration of card kits. I never thought I would be able to be consistent and keep it up, but so far, things are working out great. All right, so now here we have card number 3, and I see that this little wing did not pop out, but that's okay. Look at how easy that is. So, perfect. One tip, if you're having your pieces get stuck in this, I like to run my die through with a dryer sheet once or twice, and that just gives it a nice little coating, and things pop out so easily. Well, I saved the hardest card for last. So, this next one is tricky, but it is oh so pretty. And it is inspired by a Stampin' Up consultant in Australia. I'll have to go back and check her name. But I really liked how she trimmed the card down around the butterfly. So this butterfly fits on a regular A2 card, but you will have a little border. And I played around with some designs using that, but when I saw this, I loved it. And I added these little flowers because, remember all these little odds and ends scraps that I was saving? Well, I found that with the Country Flowers die, that is from our base catalog, the die that matches this has little flowers and leaves that you cut out. So all these little scraps I've been cutting, and now I have little piles I'm going to show you how pretty they look. Little pretty piles of flowers and leaves. So I just thought after I put this purple together, I thought, oh, this is going to look so pretty with little flowers. And I had a little white butterfly and the tag. I didn't know if I would add that on or not, but I decided not to. You could add a sentiment in the inside. So let's go ahead and do this card now. This is going to be really a little bit the toughest card. So I'm going to clean this workspace up for a second. So I need to start with 2 pieces, and my card base is 4 3/4 by 7. And then I'll also have a white piece that is 4 1/2 by 3 1/4. So I remember to write the dimensions down. I'll leave that there. Again, if you order my, if you get my card kit, you'll have all of those dimensions available. So I do want to fold this card, and as I said, this particular piece is from close to my heart. I'm using up my stockpile, but because of that, it does have a little bit of a white base, although Stampin' Up! Started to use two-tone paper. I don't know if you've noticed that, and a lot of it is on sale right now in their last chance section. So if you are interested and want to try out the Stampin' Up! Two-tone paper, go check it out because it's a great price. So this die is the fold die, and it has 2 little lines at the top where you match it up with your fold. So I'm going to just take a minute to do that carefully, and I brought some washi tape because I want it to stay in place. And that looks pretty good, because I don't know about you, but when I roll it through the die cutting machine, it might start lined up, and then, oh boy, it manages to squish and move every which way. So this looks pretty good. I'm going to just put a piece of washi tape there. Oh, and look it. I almost sent it through in the wrong direction. Holy smokes. So let's take a minute and realign. That would be such a typical me thing. Absolutely. All right, and I only want it to go through the top layer. Just another thing I realized, because this is going to be just a top flap, but you could cut it out like I showed last week Wednesday and make a little shape card, which is really cool too. All right, so I'm gonna die cut this piece. And cross your fingers that everything is going to work out. And then I just take that off, and if I have a little bit of edge here, I can just trim it with the scissors. So the one thing about washi tape is if you do use actual washing tape and not masking tape, you want to be careful that it doesn't rip your paper. So you get a better stick, but you also have a chance of it ripping. So right there, I just want to trim that little piece off. And that's really simple. Perfect. Okay. And then my white card base is going to fit right inside there. So when I close it, look at that, it looks nice. And I think I'm going to move it up just a little bit because I can trim this now at the end. I made it just a little bit longer than 7 inches so that I would have some leeway if I had it shift on me. So at the very end, I can take that to the paper trimmer and, you know, trim it, even it up, and that's what you can do too. But I'm going to go ahead, since my top fold is so nice, and go ahead and leave it up there. All right, now we want to build up this butterfly so it looks like that. Well, this is what the great tip that I learned from my counterpart in Australia. These 2 butterfly bodies are great, but they don't work on this big guy. So to get that, I'm going to take this large die and flip it over. And I just want to put a scratch piece of black paper in there, and I'm just going to cover that body, send it through the die cutting machine, and out comes this piece here. And then I just hand trim that. So I'm going to take it and go from the bottom of the body up to the top, and you're just kind of cutting it with a little bit of a curve, not too much, and I can either come from the top and go down. So there you go. Look at how easy that was. Now I'm not going to glue it on yet because I want one more layer, and that's where it works really well that I cut this in half, and now I can feed this piece through, and then that's going to give me lots of extra little pieces. I could even probably fit some of these smaller butterflies. So I always try when I'm cutting paper is I try and cut it so that I will get the most use out of it. And again, your card kit will include all of these pieces, even some flowers for you to glue in. You'll just have to add whatever sentiments you want. And then now I just have to poke out all of these little pieces here. And if you have a little roller brush, I have one off to the side, you can just roll, and that's a nice quick way to get rid of all these little doodads, but they come out pretty easy. Some dies can be tedious, and you're like, what was I thinking when I bought this? All right, so, and now just carefully pull it out, and boom. I want to make sure I take that time and just put these dies back on the magnet. All right, so now I have all these little pieces here that I need to get into my scraps container. Those I will not save, don't worry. All right, and then I'm going to just add this on, and I'm going to bring it down. So here, now I'm just looking at mine and I'm realizing, you know what, I forgot to show you how I stamped the butterfly wings that are in this set on here. You could also use the dots. I was thinking if you don't have this stamp set, you could use any kind of, sometimes, you know, you get those watercolor splotches stamps that look like a watercolor splotch. You could even brush on some color like I did earlier, like a distress ink almost. But I am going to go ahead and stamp these wings real quick just to show you how I did that. Because after all, I do want to use the stamp set a little bit. So the wings are, you get two, and I'm going to use one to the top and down here. So let me show you what I mean by that. I just went ahead and went this way, and then I go turn and turn it this way. And then I'm going to flip my stamp, and I'm going to go the opposite. And that way this little kind of big piece of the wing is towards the top, and it just looks pretty. But it doesn't really matter where I stamp it. I don't have to overthink this because I'm going to have another layer on top. All right. So I'm going to now stop and put this back on. And so you can see it just gives it a little extra dimension. So again, you could use a brush and blend on some color for a tone-on-tone look. You could stamp even little flowers or any kind of pattern. Now I'm going to add my hand-cut butterfly body, which really makes it pop with this black. Just take a minute to line up those antennae and then his tail. And now for the fun part is where I just get to add some flowers, because here it looks good, right? But what a difference from these flowers. And I love pulling in product that I already have that I can just use again. When I do something like this, I just like to pre-lay it out just to get an idea, because once I have glue on it, you know, it's hard to move things around. So, and I'm just using some different colors. And I could use one of these light purples, but I think I like the way, yeah, I mean, that would be fine, but I like the way the dark purple was. So, and I think I lost one of my flowers when I just did that. Let's see, here's a little orange one. And then I need a leaf. And this lime really pops. All right, so now I like the way that looks, and I can just take, I like to put some glue on a scrap piece of paper and then just start kind of dipping it in there. And that way I don't have to move my pieces too much. A little bit. But you get the idea. You can kind of keep them in place, dab and stick. And I'm just going to keep going before they move too much. There we go. And then I want to tuck this little orange guy in behind the purple. There we go. So that is how quick and easy this card was. But I hope that gave you a tip on, how to cut it. And I am going to go back now and just trim this up a little bit. So, well, there are my 4 cards for the Beautiful Butterfly March card kit. Just a recap of them real quick. We had this, and then the yellow, beautiful, I love, and then this pretty blue. Well, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to leave me a comment, what you liked. Did you have a favorite card? What you thought? Did you learn anything new? I know some of you might think that diagonal cut was kind of a good tip, and hopefully it saves you some paper and you get more use for it. Well, thanks for tuning in to this week's Wednesday workshop. We'll see you later.